Cauliflower for shiz. So I'm just bending over trying to do it. Say again?
Oh, power 2 and Ashton is live.
Well, you can do power 2 if you want, but it's not going to be with Ashton. C'est moi.
1 foot over and...
The cross-legged wow thing in the first bit.
Yeah, I can do it.
On a good day.
Last week I was glad nobody could quite see because I had quite a spectacular fall over.
Hey, I've done a couple of videos where, and I'll be telling this to everyone, a couple of these videos where things have just gone tits up and I've fallen over, but hey ho, we don't mind that. It's part of it, isn't it? It's part of it, just falling over.
I only fall over when I try to.
You fell over last night doing something. Oh, got feedback. That's me talking. Who's talking back then? Somebody's playing back to me. It's myself talking to myself.
I think that might be coming back.
Is that you, Paolo?
Yeah, that's cool. Yes. Stop there.
Hello. Which room are we in today, Paul? We've gone to a different space, haven't we?
Right, game on, 42 seconds. I'm going to meet you guys now.
Alright folks, at home, welcome to Flix 15 on this beautiful Monday evening. We shall get started shortly. Now you might want a block and a strap for this. Chrissy might want a block or a strap just for those
please, my wife.
half moons, if you fancy one of those.
Yeah, I'm about number 7 of Flex 15, now I'm getting there.
Well, if you were in studio, you might be on even more. It's a good thing about these sequences, you see. If you keep doing them, things get a little bit easier. You might start to switch off a bit, but I'll keep throwing in different things just to keep you on your toes. And yeah, it means that you can progress through the poses, which is what we're after.
Come on, wife, let's take yoga for a walk.
Alright, as my husband Chris has just said, let's take yoga for a walk with Flex 15 tonight. Take the knees out wide. We're going to start in a wide leg child's pose. I'm going to shut the door just to keep the acoustics nice. So taking the big toes to touch, if you can bolster yourself between the hips and the heels with a block or a cushion if you like. And extending the fingers out forwards, maybe pressing into those fingertips as you let the head come down between the upper arms, resting gently with the forehead onto the ground. So you can make this nice and passive in the arms by bringing the elbows down. If you want a bit more of a stretch into the shoulders, as I mentioned, press into those fingertips, draw the shoulder blades away from the ears, sliding towards the base of the spine. Give yourself 5 deep, juicy breaths in here. So nice deep breath in through the nose. And then see if you can sigh it out a little bit out of the mouth. And again, in through the nose. And release. So you can make these as loud as you want. So with that exhale, we want to try and just let the body fully relax and release down. Just taking away from the body anything which is lingering, which you don't feel it's serving you very well. Maybe a little pain, a twinge here and there, or maybe, like me, a bit of fuzz between the ears due to the children. Just get that out of the system. Let's engage our minds with all the positive stuff that yoga brings. So give me another breath. Inhale. And exhale. Perfect. Press into the fingertips and rise on up to tabletop. So walking the knees back underneath the hips, that gives that nice inline stable position. And taking the big pointer finger towards the front edge of the mat, squeezing the upper arms in, squeezing in the belly, so in that nice strong pose. Now from here we're going to flex and extend through the spine in our cat and cow. So inhaling, lifting the sit bones back as you drop the belly down and letting the chest lift. So you don't have to jerk the head up, just keep the gaze coming forwards, and then rounding through the spine again, starting this movement off from the pelvis as you tuck under, finding as much space through the spine as you can, separating the shoulder blades. Inhaling back to your cow pose, exhaling back to your angry cat. Really taking these movements to their full range if you can. Nice and slow and controlled, but just giving yourself that extra stretch out through the muscles. And then releasing back to tabletop from there. Let's take the hands a little bit further forward and start to move into the hips. So I'm just going to take some circles through the hips. You can let the hips drop down to the floor if you like. You can draw circles. You can draw shapes. You can ignore me and just let the hips lead and wiggle around. So lengthening through the spine, taking weight forward into the wrist just gives us opportunity to warm up into the wrists and hands. Perfect. Now with that in mind, let's take our way back to table. So hands underneath shoulders. Turn the fingertips to face in towards each other. So that Toby tall finger is pointing in. This is going to allow us to move from left to right with our breath. So inhaling back to center, exhaling one way. Inhale center, exhale the other way. Keep a soft bend at the elbow, so just working into the wrists a little bit. Not for too long. Back to center. Turn the hands all the way around so the fingertips are facing back towards your own knees, exposing the forearms to the front of the mat. This time we're going to move the weight backwards and forwards. So just working within your range of movement, trying to keep the heels of the hands down. Slowly one way and the other. Nice work. So the hands are going to take an awful lot of weight during these flex sessions. So it's really important to get the wrists nice and warm. Perfect. Releasing the hands back to the front of the mat. And from here, let's tuck the toes and find down dog. So pointer finger pointing towards the front edge of your mat, lifting the sit bones. You can keep loads of bend with it being the first down dog into the legs. So stretching out long. If you feel like you want to move your hands forward a little bit and extend away through the shoulders and the spine. So making sure the shoulders, the blades of the shoulders are moving towards the base of the spine, but keeping the legs bent if that feels good. Or you might want to walk the hands a bit further forward and start to straighten out through the legs. So coming more into that apex and that pike of the hips. So depending on what you're wanting to stretch out here, and then readjust whenever you're ready. Find that comfortable down dog position somewhere in the middle of those two, which works for you. And you can wiggle around through the hips, sending them one way, then the other, which is a nice stretch down the side body. Just let the head dangle down. If you want, you can take a little shake of the head. You might want to nod the head. Just stretching out into the neck. And then starting to look towards the thumbs, creeping the feet forwards, keeping the legs fairly straight, soft, not locking the knees out though, taking the feet underneath the hips, which most people think are quite narrow, but if you take them a little bit wider, so you find that nice stable base, soften the knees and inhale to rise up tall. So finding our full height, let's take a little twist here. Left arm's going to come forward, right arm's going to come back, and you can keep looking forwards if that feels like enough, or open out and take a gaze over the back hands. The arms are strong and at shoulder height. Hips are trying to move around to the front side of your mat if you can. Inhale when you're ready, back through center, and rotate the other way. So you're looking over towards the left-hand side this time. Squeezing in that belly, standing tall, gaining height through the crown of the head, and letting that breath flow. One more inhale brings us back to center. Well done. Bring the hands down through the heart, releasing the hands to the mat. We're going to take a big step back with one foot, and then the other. So we're coming into a plank. You can come down onto the knees if that's your preference tonight. We're going to take the weight forward, squeeze those elbows in, and then take that little lower down into your low plank. Now just holding this low plank for me. I want you to press the heels away towards the back of the mat, squeeze onto the quads, those big muscles at the front of the thighs, so it lifts up the kneecaps, and extend the way through the crown of the head. So looking into this strong low plank, taking a breath, and then releasing into upward facing dog. So lifting up through the chest, letting the knees drop down if you want to, or you can engage the quads again and lift them up, and then exhaling your way back into your down dog once more. So hopefully now through those little sequence of movement, you're feeling a little bit warmer, and your body is feeling more prepared to take on some more challenging poses. Have another little stretch out in your dog. Again, think about those shoulders releasing away down the back, but squeezing the upper arms in. If you can, pressing into the outside edge of your hand as well. Or hands, plural. Inhale. And exhale. Take the gaze towards the thumbs. This time, if you want to take a little hop forward, think about those legs staying fairly straight as you find length in your halfway lift. And then releasing once more into your forward fold. Take a couple of breaths here in your forward fold. Have a little rock around through the feet, giving the ankles a bit more of a warm-up, but also playing around with weight here, trying to work out where our centre of gravity lies. Nice work. Take a breath. Inhale. And exhale. Bend the knees. Inhale to rise, reaching all the way up to the ceiling. And exhaling, swan diving all the way down, planting the hands, and again taking a big step back into plank. So dropping down onto the knees here, we're going to sink the hips to the heels and take a little kneeling twist. So taking the right hand into the air, inhale, exhale, bring the right hand onto the left knee, and then sweeping the left arm up and over behind you, just a couple of times, releasing through that top left shoulder. On that third rotation, we're going to bring the left hand down to the floor behind the toes and start to move the belly button over towards the left hand side of your mat, encouraging your gaze to steady follow behind. Maybe it comes over that left shoulder, maybe it doesn't, really doesn't matter, as long as you feel like you're getting the benefit through twisting through the spine, and then releasing back to center. Well done. So taking the right arm up into the air, inhale, exhale, taking the left hand even, inhale, lift arm up, exhale onto the right knee, and then sweeping over 3 times. So it's like you're taking a kneeling backstroke, bringing the arm right up next to the right ear if you can, and on that third rotation, bringing your right hand down, sitting up tall, stacking the vertebrae, inhale, and exhale, rotate just as far as you feel comfortable. No pressure to start swiveling all the way around. Take that breath. What was that horror film where somebody's head started swiveling round? Wurzel Gummidge. Wurzel Gummidge. Inhale. That was pretty horrific. Exhale, come back to your centre. Well done. All right, come forward. The Exorcist, there we go. I prefer Wurzel Gummidge. Take the hands underneath the shoulders. Let's work into our Spider-Man plank. Now, if you want to take this, make this a little bit harder, slide the knees away. Okay, take the weight forward, and then you can drive knee to elbow. Okay, if you want to make it harder still, we're going to take that full plank. So starting with the left leg, inhale, lift up and point away through that left big toe. So make sure the weights come forward, so we've got shoulders over wrists, and then start that journey with the left knee to the left elbow. Squeeze behind. We're going to take 2 more on this side. So squeeze, nice, slow, big C shape we're drawing with the knee. 1 more. Inhale. Awesome. Okay, keep that left leg lifted if you can. Plant the right hand underneath the right shoulder and slowly float your way into either a kneeling or a full side plank. Or if you're joining in with our bow variation, bringing your left hand onto your left foot, squeezing in the glutes to maintain that stability as you draw the heel in towards the butt and stretch out through that top quad. If you're taking your kneeling variation, bring the right knee down, and you can always lift that left leg if you need to. 1 breath here, inhale. I'm going to flow back to Wild Thing. So releasing the left foot out behind you, and then arching through the spine, squeezing and taking the hips nice and high. And I want you to exhale and drop the hips down towards the floor. Again, inhale, squeeze to lift, and exhale, drop the hips. We're going to take 1 more. Inhale, squeeze to lift, and hold. Okay, now if you want to have a go at this, you can start to think about lifting up your right leg and crossing it over your left, as if you were sitting cross-legged. So you're going to take a little bit of the back bend out of this pose if you do this, but it does work on strength and balance. So take your pick. If you prefer, I was going to say prefancy then, a combination of prefer and fancy, you can just work on your normal Wild Thing. All right, 1 breath, inhale, and exhale, release that lifted foot. If it's lifted, taking your way back through center and finding your plank. So option to drop back down onto the knees again if you want to take Spider-Man from that position. Taking the right knee to the right elbow, lifting up the right foot, inhale, 3 knee drives to that right elbow, nice and slow. Big circle through that right hip. 2 more, squeeze and release. Well done, 1 more. Squeeze and release. Straight into our side plank. Keep that right foot lifted if you can. Extra challenge on the balance. Maybe taking it into that bow variation if you can. Bringing the heel to the bum. Making sure that left hand is really pressing hard into the mat. Those fingertips should be almost white. We're pressing that hard. Keep the hips lifted. Think about opening up through that right shoulder for another 3. And a 2. And a Wild Thing 1. Here we go. Right foot behind. Lift up. Now hold if you want, or join me with those lifts and lowers. So we're releasing the butt to the ground, left hip down, inhale, arch through the spine as much as you can. 2 more, lower, nice work. And lift, feels beautiful, really nice invigorating pose, last one. And then option to bind with that left leg around the right if you want to. Don't have to, of course, you can stay in that lovely arch. So left leg wraps around the right, So you're balancing on the right foot, left hand, so it will challenge the balance. Keep staring up towards the right fingers if it's possible. And don't forget to breathe, so much to think about. For 3, 2, 1. Well done. Release the foot first of all so you don't fall in a heap. Bring the right hand back down, find your full plank, inhale. And exhale, down we go. Low plank. Inhale, up dog. Into our down dog, and then we're going to hop into a seated position. So spread out the hands. What was that grunt about? Alright, I thought you grunted. Bending the knees, lifting the hips up, and then allowing your feet to flow forward. Extending out both feet in front, we're going to take a reverse table with an added L-sit. So hands plant again, thinking about squeezing up through the core, engaging the pelvic floor. Take that squeeze and lift as we open out into that flat position with the front body, making sure our glutes are engaged, and then slowly releasing the hips into that L-sit where we've got the butt lifted off the floor. So working into a little bit of arm strength here as well. As you thrust the hips up to the ceiling, you'll notice that lovely stretch across the front of the shoulders. One more little flow here, release, and lift. Perfect. Release the butt down to the ground, cross over those legs, rock the weight forward, hands plant, and hop back from there. So, working into a side plank once more, right hand down, open out to the left. We're going to drop the hips to the floor. If you want to take this on a forearm, you can do, if your wrist is feeling a bit twingy. So exhale to lower the hips down, inhale to squeeze and lift. If you can, see if you can find a little bit of an arch there as well. Taking the left hand over the head towards the front hand side of your mat. Squeeze and lower. We're going to take one more. Inhale. Squeeze and release. Come back through center. Let's take some presses as we come through center. Why the devil not?
Yeah!
So taking narrow, wide, and narrow. Take the weight forward. Inhale. Elbows come back towards the back of the mat, scraping the ribcage. Press back up, wide. Taking work into the pecs and the chest now. Lower elbows wide. And back. Oh, we forgot to kiss the floor. Let's kiss the floor on this one. Inhale. Exhale. Mwah. Big kiss to the floor. Awesome. Take the left hand underneath the left shoulder or drop down onto the left forearm. Taking a side plank and maybe a lift and lower of the hips if you feel it. So dropping the hips down, stretching and reaching to the right side of the body and extending the fingers forwards.
There's that one.
Yeah, it's hot in this studio today. Hooray! And reach. Awesome. Take the right hand back down. Inhale. Let's transition. Low plank. Elbows in. Inhale. Find your up dog. Find that heavy hips. Shoulders away from ears. Find down dog. Hips lift. Have a little pedal around here. Have a little release. Over time, down dog will feel more of a rest pose. If you're not quite there yet, don't worry. We're not staying here for too long. We're going to come into our balance section next. So trying to bring the feet forward towards the hands, you can walk them forward or you can start to bounce forward. As you bounce forwards, think about how you'd come to think about a handstand, in that you want to bring your shoulders over your hands. So starting to bend the knees, get the hips nice and high, and then see if you can float forwards with fairly extended legs. Okay, inhale here, and enjoy a full fold. Down we go. Taking a couple of breaths in. Maybe taking that halfway lift and then exhaling to refold. Breathing a bit space into the back of the legs. One more. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, lowering down once more. Good. Crown of the head coming down towards the floor. And release. Soften the knees. And reach up tall. Well done. If you didn't hear Chris then, he said the chicken's coming out. And by that, it just means that he's shaved his chest, and I told him he looked like a plucked chicken. Anyway, you might not be able to catch that on camera. Where are we taking this? We're going into a wide knee toe stand. So I was off to my bound angle then. Bringing the feet, bringing yourself the feet close together. We're going to inhale up onto the tippy toes, and then see if we can bring the heels together. So turning the toes out slightly. Okay, now from here, we're going to start to move down into a toe stand. So you can bring the hands to heart center, inhale. And then exhale, lowering down if you can with control, taking the knee out as wide as you can. So if you feel like you need your hands down at this point, that's fine. And you can just stay here practicing the balance. You might work up to bringing the hands together. I'm going to start to lift and lower. because I quite like this exercise. So we inhale, squeeze, keeping the knees wide. Exhale, lowering down. So it really is a challenging one to balance. Keep those heels squeezing together. Again, inhale, lift. Nice. Squeeze those inner thighs for me. Exhale, release. Make sure those shoulders are relaxed. One more. Inhale. Nice. Good work, folks. Exhale, release. Well done. Take the hands down and release the feet to parallel. We're going to bring the feet together, taking a chair pose. So start to press the heels down. We want the weight into the heels here, so we sweep up with the arms. Inhale, squeeze and lift, and then exhale, drop down with the hips. So make sure you can see your toes on this one. We don't want the knees to come too far forwards. Send the sit bones back as you find length through the full length through the full length of your spine. Shoulders moving down towards your sit bones if you can. Try and come down a little bit deeper if that feels okay. A lot of people try and bring the chest parallel to the floor. I want you to think about lifting the chest up. Let the arms come up next to the ears, but the shoulders moving down the back. Well done. Find that breath. Find those strong legs for me. For 3. Well done. 2. We've got a bound angle version of this chair next. Good for the ankles and feet. And 1. Well done. Inhale to rise up. So this time we're going to come onto the outside edges of the feet. So it feels really nice stretch for the outside of the ankles. Bringing the hands to the heart center to begin with. Take a breath. If you find that this is tough on the ankles and it doesn't feel like you've got a strong enough position to come down into a chair, just take another chair pose. So take a breath and then start to release the knees out wide. So exactly the same sensation. You're drawing up through the core and the sit bones are coming down, lengthening through the spine. If you want to reach around with the hands and take that clasp behind you, starting to drop down a little bit more. So really opening up through the chest, keep the heart lifted. Nice opener for the lungs and heart. Perfect. For 3. So we're going to increase this challenge in the balance now with a standing half moon. 2. You might want to grab a block for this or a book. And 1. Releasing the arms. Well done. Inhale to rise up. Let both soles of the feet come down onto the floor, underneath the hips. So grab your block if you're using a block. We're going to start on the left side. So it's quite a challenging balance, this one, so we'll take it slow. Take a breath. As you exhale, start to take the weight onto the left foot. Spread out through the foot. Think big toe, little toe, heel, creating that nice, stable shape through the foot as you float your right foot out behind you. So keeping the hips square to the floor as if you're entering into a warrior 3. If you want to keep the hands down, that's cool. If they will reach the floor, take them down or take them down onto a brick. Now we're aiming to open up the right hip here, so take the right hand onto that right hip, keeping the left hand just in front of the left foot. If your balance is with you today, start to open out with that right hip, so you're looking over towards the right. Now, don't just throw the right shoulder back. I want you to think about moving from the waist. So think about your belly button, taking that, travelling over towards the right-hand side. Kick up as high as you feel you're able to with that lifted right leg. And then maybe start to open out with your left arm from there. Gazing to wherever you find the most stability, down at your left hand, out to the horizon or up to your top hand, and think about that stretch from fingertip to fingertip, crown of the head to the lifted foot, really opening out, finding focus and concentration in this one. For 3, and 2, 1. Transitioning to the front of our mats now. Keep that right foot lifted, bend your supporting left leg. Inhale, rise up. Arms can lift to the sky as you extend your right leg. You can take a basket around the thigh or the back of the thigh, or maybe a bind around your right big toe with the right hand. So stretching out, standing tall, all about length from heel to crown of the head on this one. Take a breath, inhale. You can take this left hand to the hip or just drop to the side or up in the air, whatever feels like the best version of the pose for you tonight. Well done. Inhale. Let's go for a revolved half moon. And exhale, down we go. Release the foot if you have the bind. This time take the right hand down in front of the left foot or just to the side of. Back onto the brick or onto the floor. Kick up again, high with that right heel. Taking the hands to the left hip. Start to think about moving that left hip over on top of the right. If it feels okay, take the left arm up. Don't forget to kick up and high, as high on that back leg. So really squeezing into the glutes. So that left leg is working hard, right leg's working hard, torso is switched on and engaged, and we're finding lots of length through the whole body for another 3. Great for your digestion, this one, as we're twisting from one way to the other. 2, and 1. Release the gaze back down, taking left hand down. We're going to release the right foot to the back of the mat. So we're going to take triangle. So turn the right toes out, windmill the arms up and over. Maybe if you've not got there already, take heel to heel or heel to inner arch alignment. Nice big long stride on the mat. Float the arms up to shoulder height. Tuck in the pelvis, so don't stick your bum out. Tuck it under, inhale here. As you exhale, sliding towards the front side of your mat, looking beyond your left fingers, and then when the balance catches up, take the left hand down, take the right arm up. Again, gazing down can keep you a little bit more balanced, and you could always pop your left hand on something if it doesn't come to the floor, and I'd much rather you stay a little bit higher up than try and get your hand to the floor. It's not about that. So finding an openness through the whole of the upper body here, through the side body. Really nice stretch. You've been sat down for long periods of time working at a computer or maybe your makeshift desk at home. Full stretch out. If you want to release that right hand behind you down the lower back, that can encourage your chest to open and the heart to lift to the ceiling. Well done, everyone. Inhale and exhale, taking the gaze down, softening that front left leg and windmilling both hands, framing the left foot and stepping back to plank. Inhale here. And exhale down to low plank. Inhale up dog. And back into down dog. And making your way towards the hands once more. We're going to go straight in. So you can either come from this halfway position or you can rise up full height. So I'm going to take this option here. We're going to take the the weight into the right foot. So starting off, bringing the block underneath the right hand. If you like, left hand to left hip. Start to float up with that left leg. Inhale. If you're feeling okay there, start to open out through that top hip. Think about that belly button moving over to the long left side of your mat. Think about what's happening with the back foot as well. So you can either point the toes or flex the foot, or some people like to do somewhere in the middle. So find something which works for you. Obviously, pointing is going to work different muscles than flexing, so decide what feels the best for your particular body. And keep opening up as much as you can through the chest, encouraging that rotation, which is great for our internal organs. For another 3. Standing leg extension next, or maybe just a knee lift. 2. 1, good. Gaze down, soften the right knee. Inhale, can we float all the way up without putting that left foot down? Maybe clasping the hands around that left knee. Maybe making a basket and standing tall. Maybe taking the bind around the left big toe. So rather than leaning forwards or leaning back, think about height, think about length, shoulders down the back, hand to the hip, hand in the air, wherever you like. Hold, well done. For 3, keep pressing down hard into that big toe, little toe, heel. 2, nice work. And 1, let's have a go at that revolved half moon. Left hand down, left leg lifts. Right arm onto the hip if you can to start off with, maybe left hand onto a brick, rotating as and when you feel the balance is there. Taking that squeeze, making sure the abs are fully engaged here as we rotate, maybe even looking up to your top hand. If you're feeling super balanced, you can always float your left fingers off the floor. I like to keep them down on this one. I find you can get a bit more purchase in the rotation if you keep them down. 1 more breath, well done. Cool, building up some heat here. 1, inhale and exhale, back through center, releasing the left foot to the back of the mat, turning the toes out, windmill the arms up and over. I'm going to take a slightly deeper variation here, so taking the right leg long, left toes turned out, right toes forward, inhale. Exhale, take that little reach, like you're trying to grab a bag of sweets just outside of your range is what I always tell the kids when I'm teaching kids yoga. Right hand down, left arm reaches, tuck the pelvis under, squeeze in the belly, and breathe. Nice work. If you're feeling super balanced, maybe have a go at closing your eyes in your triangle pose in this session. Deep full breath in, think about that top shoulder, opening out a little bit more. 1 more, inhale. And exhale, gaze down first. Soften that right knee. Windmill both hands down. Well done. Step back. Hopefully we're not in a heap at home. Take that full plank. Exhale down to your low plank. Inhale up dog. Shoulders away from ears. And back to down dog. We've got a crescent lunge for you next. Take a little wiggle out in your dog. Have a stretch. Have a bit of move round. See how the body's feeling. A little bit of time for reflection. And let's go. Inhale, right foot high, press down with the left foot. So we're taking a squeeze of the knee on the inhale right in towards the chest and just hold it there for a sec. Squeeze, 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 working those abs, and then release the right foot high. Now this time as we squeeze, I want you to get that same sensation, squeeze into the chest, and then gently post that right foot between the legs. See if you can do it in one nice sweep. All right, so maybe your left knee wants to come down here in your crescent lunge, maybe it wants to stay lifted. So sweeping up with the arms, checking that right knee is in line with the right hip and pressing away hard through that left heel if the back knee is lifted. So with our crescent lunge, we've got an option here to take the arms around behind and interlock, opening up, finding a little bit of a back bend as we drop down, right down into those hips. So you should feel it on that left hip flexor. You might prefer to take the arms up tall, in which case that's cool, but make sure that the shoulders are not coming with. You can look forward, you can look up. Test yourself. Can we come down a bit lower? Really find that biting point in the front of the left hip. Expand and lift the chest towards the sky. Perfect. Well done for 3. 2, really encouraging good lung function here. And 1, release the hands down to the floor. Drop that back knee down if it's not there already. You can keep the toes tucked or untuck them. I prefer them untucked as we start to float back into our half splits. So now you might want to grab a block or a couple of books for this one. We're sending the hips back and we're making sure that they're still in line with the rest of our legs. So we're not swishing the hips over to one side. So starting to lengthen through the spine as you exhale, you can creep the fingertips forward. You can maybe bring the toes up towards the ceiling just to increase that stretch a little bit more. So play around with it, make any adjustments which you feel you need to in order to get that length. If you've been working on your full splits, you can take that option now. So still working the heart towards the toes. Deep breath in and out. We're going to stay here for another 3 full breaths. Perfect, well done. Maybe letting the head just drop down ever so slightly. It will affect the pose, it will allow it to feel a little bit more challenging. But as long as we found that length first, that's fine. Final round of breath. Always nice to spend a bit of time here. Well done. Working into a wide leg forward fold now. So taking lots of weight through the hands, maybe walking the hands back to start off with. I'm going to tuck my back toes and then start to walk round to the left-hand side of my mat. So I'm bringing my feet to parallel, maybe even turning the toes in a little bit. Okay, now taking the hands to the hips and finding this halfway position. So it's like a halfway lift. So really working hard through the lower back in order to keep the back flat, taking the shoulders back in that direction towards the sit bones and hanging out here. If you prefer to make this into a squat, just drop the hips down, bend the knees, bringing the knees in line with the ankles, again not coming forward at the toes. I'm going to take a fold on this one. I'm going to expand the arms out. If, as before, you want to interlock the hands, if you prefer to take the crown, the head down towards the floor, that's fine. So any variation of your wide leg forward fold that works for you, encouraging the spine to lengthen out, as well as working into the inside groin area and the hamstrings as well. So super nice again through the neck, this one, allowing some space between the vertebrae. Try to take the weight forwards a little bit, bringing the hips over the top of the heels, and you'll just notice those subtle changes in the backs of the legs as you do this. Full breath in and out for another 3, 2. We've got runner's lunge and extended side angle next. And one. Well done. Release the hands wherever they are. You might want to take them to the hips or use them to press your way up if you're not feeling as strong. Lifting up through the torso, turning the right foot to face the front side of the mat, keeping the left foot where it is, and extending that left arm nice and long. So we're finding a side angle here. So again, try not to let the chest come down to the floor and the bottom to stick out behind you. Tuck the pelvis under and extend away through the fingers, creating that space and allowing us to twist the chest up towards the ceiling a little bit. So you can either stay here with pleasure, or you can take the right hand down onto the inside of the right foot, maybe onto a brick, and extend the left fingers up to the ceiling. I was going to say left toes there, that would be impressive. Or you might want to have a go at the bind if that's what you've been working on. Left hand comes down the lower back, right hand comes underneath the back of the knee, not between the legs. And that encourages us to lift up, tuck the pelvis again, and reopen through the chest. So it's breathing in here into our extended side angle. Really working into that rotation through the body. Great for detoxification, helping the liver and kidneys. For 3, 2, 1. Good. Take the gaze down. Replant the hands. Step back. Find your full plank or your kneeling plank. Lower down. Inhale, lift up through the chest. Just stretching out into our down dog. And let's go on the other side. Are we ready? Left foot lifts. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze the belly, bring the knee towards the chin and float it. Hold, hold, hold. Squeeze on those abs. And then extend the left foot back up. This time coming all the way back to the chest. Gently posting that left foot between. So taking that crescent lunge, I'm going to show you the kneeling variation this time. So the back knee is dropping. Inhaling, rising up, lifting up. And you can always scoot that right knee back a little bit more if you need a bit more stretch through that right hip. So option to lift up the arms, lift up the gaze, option to look forwards, maybe drop the hands down the back. If you've got the hands interlocked, see if you can bring the heels of the hands together. That's just going to increase that stretch through the shoulders. Nice work at home, looking good. Deep breath, maybe close the eyes, check out how that balance is going. For 3, we've got our half splits or full splits coming up. 2. And 1, nice, release wherever you are, take the hands to the ground and roll the weight backwards on your next breath out. Coming into that half split position, so maybe bringing the toes up towards the ceiling. Again, just checking the hips haven't wandered off to the side somewhere. If you want to work towards your full split, you certainly can do. If you're thinking about taking the fingertips towards the toes, maybe beyond the toes, just let that be combined with a length through the spine, heart moving towards the toes. So wherever you get to is absolutely fine. There's no competition at all. It's all about your sensations and feelings in the pose. No one's bothered if you can get into full splits or not. And if you are, then give yourself a goal to work towards, but don't let the ego take over on this one. Okay, give yourself another 3 breaths. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale. Nice work. Final breath. Well done. Tuck in the back toes. See if you can extend through both legs as you walk the hands around, finding a wide-legged squat or forward fold. You choose. So maybe bringing the toes in slightly, weight into the balls of the feet if you're taking a forward fold, or a halfway lift, or if you're taking that squat with the knees bent, bend the knees and weight into the heels. So whatever's going to work best for you. I'm going to go forward fold, and I think I'm going to take an interlock of the hands this time, letting yourself drape down towards the floor if you're in that forward fold, or if you're in that halfway lift variation, really shooting the fingertips out towards the short sides of your mat. Giving me another 2 breaths here. Letting gravity take care of those arms if you're upside down. 1 more breath. Inhale. And exhale, releasing from there. Well done. Taking the hands under the shoulders or maybe onto the hips. Inhale to rise up and pivoting forwards. Taking our extended side angle. So left toes forwards, right toes turned out, left hand onto the left thigh, extending through the right arm, or maybe moving the left hand down inside the left foot, or maybe taking the bind. So your variation of side angle today, whatever you want to work towards, and it doesn't matter. One day you might take a bind, the next day you might prefer just to take it a little bit easier, just respecting how the body's feeling, not pushing yourself too hard all the time. Give yourself a break. For 3, 2, and 1. Gaze down towards the left foot. Release those hands and stretch back into your full plank. Let's take a bit of hip and core work. Lowering down, find low plank. Inhale, releasing into your up dog. And back to down dog. Well done. We're going to hop to seated, or you can simply just sit down onto your mat. Coming into a dynamic bridge, rolling down through the spine, pressing the heels down onto the floor, just next to your bottom, so you should be able to tap your heels with your fingertips. You can take a flowing bridge with both feet down if you want. I'm going to take the one-legged variation, so left leg reaches towards the sky, directly vertical from the hip, and then we're going to start to press into that right foot as we squeeze into the glutes, inhaling, lifting the hips. Arms can be down by the side, or they can float up and over the head. Releasing slowly, slowly, slowly back down to the ground. Spine is long. Inhale, sweep on up again. Exhale, release. Well done. One more. Inhale. Really lifting as high as you can. And release. Well done. Really good for functional strength, that exercise. Left heel comes down. Right leg lifts, or if you're just taking both heels down, you might want to hold or flow again with both feet down. Let's go. Inhale, rise up. Expand the lungs, bring the chest towards the chin, control that descent with the abs, lower down. 2 more in your own time with your own breath. Keeping that left knee as strong and as stable as you possibly can. Final little flow when you're ready. And releasing all the way down, 1 vertebra at a time. Awesome. All right, lift those shoulders off the mat. Find that engagement through the belly, chin towards the chest. We're going to take a little lateral tap of the fingers towards the little toe. So keeping the abs fully switched on in this maneuver, working into the obliques. For another 3, 2, and 1. Okay, final little move. If it feels okay to do so, shuffle yourself onto your elbows. Okay, and from here, release the crown of your head down towards the ground. So this is a fish variation, and you can stay here. If it feels okay, I want you to start thinking about maybe lifting and lowering one of your legs. Or if you're quite strong through the lower abs, maybe lifting and lowering both legs at the same time. So letting the top of the head rest down on the ground, or if you've got a cushion, you could always come there. So working into that leg lower. If this really doesn't feel comfortable, release the arms down by the sides, take the back of the head to the floor and just take leg lowers as per usual. This is our fish variation for another 3. Great for fighting off diseases, fish pose. This is full expanse to the chest. 2. And 1. Well done. Releasing the feet down, taking the back of the head down, taking the arms out from underneath, and rocking and rolling your way up to a boat pose. Hands come to heart center. Inhale. Exhale, let's take a twist. Left hand down, right hand down, left hand down, right hand down. Squeeze those abs. Keep those legs a little bit bent, or extend them a bit more if you can. For another 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome job. Well done, everyone. Rolling away so your feet can come down to the floor. So lastly, just before we take Shavasana, we're going to have a play around with one of our wild cards. It's an asymmetrical balance, okay? It's a forearm. It's a bit of a funky number. We're going to bring one forearm down, and then we're going to try and take our other hand to our opposite ankle. It sounds like you're going to end up in a heap, but it's all right. Honestly, it's all right. So with this one, again, like any other arm balance, you're going to have to think about drawing up through the centre and engaging that pelvic floor. Start off with, I want you to think about bringing your left forearm to the floor. Now, I come at it from a toe stand, but if you want to come at it from kneeling and see how you get on. that's fine. So bringing that left forearm down, right hand just coming down to start off with near to the fingers. From there, we're going to start to lift up, so walk the feet back a bit, so you've got this bent knee position. We're going to take the right arm in between the legs and see if we can hold on around the back of our right heel. So we've got a little bit of a bind here. We can press the right heel down as we hold on either underneath the foot or around the right ankle. You can always hold on to the calf if you can't reach. And then maybe just starting to lift up that left leg and pointing the toes, bending at the knee, or maybe starting to extend the leg a little bit if you can. Make sure you've got enough crash room. So really squeezing and lifting that top leg or keeping the knee bent and then floating back down. You're looking at me confused, Chrissy. It's tricky, it's tricky.
Like, engage everything 1 inch off. It's like the
It is.
skiing.
So if you want to have a go on that on the other side, you'd be bringing your right forearm down, left finger's moving towards the right fingertip, so you're sort of at that right angle. Then press up through the hips, keep the knees bent quite a lot, keep pressing down through this right forearm, feed the left hand between the legs, taking hold of the back of your left foot or around your calf or ankle. When you feel like you're roughly a little bit stable, it might be that you just take a little lift of the right foot and bring it back down. So the gaze is towards the back of your, towards your left toes is what I was going to try and say. I'm concentrating here. So lifting up through the right leg, or you can take the leg to bent, or just have a little play with moving between the two. So you're really drawing onto that heel in order to give you that strength. Nice work at home.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well done, everyone. It doesn't look too difficult, that, but it's a challenge.
Yeah.
I didn't see. So, everybody come on down. Let's have a little release. Take the soles of the feet down, spread out the arms. Always nice to stretch out the arms. Windscreen wiping the legs. Oh, you're holding my hand. One side to the other. Just letting the body relax and release. Maybe a little happy baby. Taking the peace sign fingers around the big toes. And again, you can roll one side to the other here. Or you might want to stay still, maybe extending one leg and then the other. I'll give you this opportunity. Any little stretches which you enjoy here, you go for it. And then when you're ready, finding your way into Shavasana. I'm going to take a reclined butterfly today. You could take corpse pose. Anything which feels nice. You can pop a cushion under the back of the head or under the hips. Oh, or maybe, yeah, if you're near a wall, why not? Cast the legs up the wall. Great for working on the parasympathetic nervous system, slowing down the heart rate. Breathing rate will follow suit. Giving yourself mentally internal well done for powering through that flex class. Full breath into the chest, into the belly. Feel that positivity drawing into the body. Feeling that strength, that rejuvenation as it comes in. And releasing whatever it is that you're not needing at the moment on that breath out. Anything which is not serving you, no need, go away. And you can stay here for a little bit longer if you like, or all night if you like. I'm going to come up to seated just for the purposes of the filming. If you're joining me, wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, maybe draw the knees in together and into the chest. Have another little rock and roll. And then find your way up to seated when you're ready. Drawing up tall through the spine, taking a big breath in through the arms, lifting tall. And exhaling hands, releasing them to your beautiful hearts. Well done, everyone. Thanks so much for coming tonight and joining me for Flex 15. Namaste. Have an awesome rest of your evening, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you, wonderful.
Take care. Well done, team.